Now we're live.
I'm live. I'm here. Hello to everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Just having a nice day today. Got to wash a car, piddling around.
Which car did you wash?
I washed the giveaway RS.
That thing was pretty dirty, even by my standards.
Let's see, what else
You
did I
saw
do?
a Ferrari F40. Did you check that out?
I didn't really have
see it?
time to. No. I don't really, I don't really get excited about other people's cars unless I'm gonna polish it or wash it or something. I'm not super excited about it. I was in the middle of the wash when he was here, and then they ran over to the house, checked out the garage. What else was I working on? Oh, I got my car audio system from Matt Schaefer up in where is he? Is he in Delaware? Yeah, he's in Delaware, I think.
Focal.
He's got my Helix amplifier, my Zen TV, or Nav TV. Sorry, Zen interface, and then I've got a harness that I can cut and plug into the Bose harness, so I don't have to cut the car harness. And I was getting that all figured out. Ordered a Redline 360C from Escort, so I'm going to do the radar at the same time. And just when I said I wasn't going to mess with this car, I'm about to tear the whole interior apart. So it should be a pretty simple install.
Famous last words there.
Mm-hmm. So I was getting that all squared away, make sure I have everything I need. I need to order a 4-gauge infused kit so that I can power the amplifier. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be pretty awesome. I got the P60 Focal Special Edition Porsche system I'm putting in.
Is that suitcase thing?
Yeah, I'm probably going to hate it, but we're going to see. It can't be any worse than Bose.
So all that stuff you're just talking about, that's not the giveaway car. That's going
No,
in the
yeah, it's
gentleman.
the Brewster. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody makes a plug and play for the 997.
Let's get to a couple questions here. This is from Zerwick04. Dear OG, dear Matt, please come to the UK. We would like to give you some monies.
Yeah, that's part of the plan. I'm going to Canada in a couple of weeks, like 3 weeks or something like that, 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'm gonna go there and visit, see what it looks like. I've got a call with a tax attorney Monday, and so we're gonna start lining up to hopefully be able to do it in early next year, and then I'll start later this year. I'll start interviewing people. Oh man, I'm tired. Shoot, too much piddling around today. I'm too relaxed. There's no stressed out project. We finished the garage at my house this weekend. I just have to tie up the wires for my scan grip setup and my battery setup for the cameras. And I'm feeling like time to take on some new projects.
Michael Blankenberger in the chat says, nothing better than wrapping up the work week while listening to Matt and Chris. We got to work on that, Michael.
We'll see.
You're doing a lot better.
Yeah, you got to get some better things.
Kevin Killoran, I don't know if this is supposed to be can or can't. Since I can or maybe can't ride my Peloton, I was wondering if I should coat my bike with G-Technic Ultimate Bike Care.
Yep, you should.
Yeah.
You'll ride a real bike, not a stupid fake bike.
If you had a Peloton, would you coat it? Would you?
No, I wouldn't have one. I wouldn't have one. It's an indoor bike anyway. What do you need to coat it for?
I don't know. Things get messy indoors. Mm-hmm. All right. Yo Kenny R says, hey, Matt and Chris, how will I know when CSL and EXO are wearing down or need to be recoated?
The first sign, of course, is that it stops beating, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's toast. It can like clog up, I guess you could say. So then you could do a procedure of which I didn't find very successful. You could wipe it down with and don't spray it on directly like I did. It's the W9 water spot remover that can help. But generally speaking, if it doesn't feel crunchy, like you don't feel all kind of contamination, you could always just put another coat of EXO on it. Because chances are the CSL's not gone. It's just kind of needs a little reactivation. Another thing to do would be to iron remove it. So everybody always uses an iron remover, but you have to remember iron remover does nothing except to remove iron. So if you don't have iron, then it's not doing anything, just making you feel good. It's not like iron removers are like an iron remover plus mineral remover. No, it's designed to break down embedded iron, which is not going to stop unless you just got dusted by, like, I don't know, an iron storm. You're going to have a few little flecks. I mean, think about the times you've sprayed iron remover on like a white paint and saw like a few little purple spots. It's generally not like crazy covered. And so like each particle is 2 inches from each other. That's not going to stop your beating. So I find that an iron removal on a coating doesn't do squat in most cases. So you're going to do the iron removal, you're going to do the clay to get the contamination off, and then you do a light polishing. And if you stay light with it, then you probably some of your base layer is still there, like maybe your roof and hood or stop beating, and then the high impact areas, but the fenders are still working. I tend to just, after about a year and a half, just take it off and start over, and then I don't have to play any guessing game of what's what.
Yo, Kenny R., thank you, by the way, for asking about that, because so EXO right now in our store, we have a slight discount on this product. We can't say why, really, but you can do the math and figure out why we'd be clearing out EXO V4. So if you're in the market for EXO V4, now would be a good time to get it. We have a lot on hand, so we're looking to clean that out. So in the store is $15 off by itself, or in the CSL package or coating package or any of that stuff. So check that out. Let's see. He also wants to know, with your investment background, what do you think of Vanguard?
So Vanguard is a shareholder-owned corporation, right? So technically speaking, it's a pretty unique design. The shareholders of ETFs or mutual funds own the company. So, what's his name? John Bogle or Boglehead or whatever they call it. I think his name's Bogle, something like that. Bogle. They're actually headquartered in Radnor, Pennsylvania. So it's right down the street from Villanova, I believe. Yeah,
John Bogle.
Yeah. So, Bryn Mawr. See, and that's where. But he died along with
2019.
Yeah.
R.I.P. John.
So anyway, the company has bonuses and salaries and expenses and all of that stuff, and the net expense ratio then is reduced by profit, the profitability of the company. So a certain percentage of the profit then goes back to pay down the internal fees or fee structure of funds. And so you have some of the this old stalwarts that are active. So there's the open-ended mutual funds that are actively managed, like Windsor and Windsor 2, and but then there's like the Vanguard Star Fund, which is a open-ended mutual fund that's an equity that's following the S&P 500, and so Vanguard has 60 or 80 open-ended mutual funds, and they have a bunch of ETFs. And the advantage is if you're going to self-direct, and you're going to be pretty passive and index your investment portfolio, then it's a great place to go. The other advantage that buying, let's say on the ETF side of things, the thing you have to remember, an ETF is an exchange traded fund. ETFs are actively traded, so they're actively traded throughout the day. So from market open to market close, you could sell your shares. But the thing you have to remember about an ETF, this is the part that most people don't realize. This happened a few times where you had they call it the Fat Finger Day. I think it was, 2016 or something like that, where some institutional trader placed a big trade, and it sent off all these trading, all the program trading. You hit all kinds of curbs or stop limits or stop orders, and so it created this flash crash that what happened was, even on the ETF side of things, you had the spread widen because there's the net asset value of the underlying assets that the ETFs are following, if you will. And so what theoretically has to happen is that then Vanguard or whatever company is that's managing the ETF, they have to then create and destroy shares depending on how many shares are being traded or actively traded. And so what can happen with an ETF is that you have the net asset value, which is what really drives the price of the ETF, but you can have periods where the spread can widen, meaning that the ETF could be trading at a premium to what the assets are worth, or at a negative to what the assets are worth. So on the Fat Finger Day, the spreads widened dramatically. And so some people were able to go in and buy. They actually disallowed a lot of the trades, buy it at like 10, 15, 20, 30% discounts of what it was actually worth. And they went in and disallowed a lot of them because it was a big program error. But there is the potential that the less active your ETF is traded, the wider the spread, the disparity could come in, is that if you're trying to redeem your shares and there's no one there to buy them, it can create a real problem with spreads, and you can end up losing a pile of cash. And so the beauty of Vanguard is they're probably the biggest and most actively traded ETFs, and so their activity, their daily activity, reduces the chance of you having a major cataclysmic event, because ETFs, you're banking on the company creating and destroying, and then going out and buying the shares in the market to back that security. So I would argue that an open-ended mutual fund, although the expense ratio is much more significant, an open-ended mutual fund is actually technically a safer investment, other than the fact that if you're in meltdown mode on Black whatever Monday, and the market's collapsing, you don't get to sell your shares, so they don't redeem until the end of the day. So an ETF you could trade throughout the day, but there's the potential that, and we haven't really experienced this, but there is the potential that people sit in these passive investments, especially some smaller obscure ETFs, and there's some underlying complexity that most investors don't realize, so you have to keep that in mind. But back to Vanguard. So if you're just indexing, so if you're buying a certain percentage in the S&P and a certain percentage in like an international index like the EFI or EFA, or however you say it, like Europe, Asia, and the Far East is what that stands for, EAFE. If you're attempting to index bonds like Treasury bonds or something like that, if you're passive in your asset allocation, so let's say you wanted a 60-40 portfolio, so you wanted a certain percentage in large cap, certain percentage in small cap, certain percentage in international, certain percentage in stocks, certain 40% in bonds, and you wanted a certain percentage in high quality bonds, investment grade bonds, and the junk bonds and the treasury bonds, and so you wanted to build out an asset allocation. And if you're theoretically quote unquote passive, somebody still has to decide what the passive portfolio is. So you have to decide what that is. Then you have to decide, am I going to do that with open-ended mutual funds, or am I going to do that with ETFs? And of course, everybody says to do ETFs because it's cheaper. But I just explained to you one potential pitfall, that ETFs aren't quite as simple as you might otherwise believe. Now, none of that really matters if you're in it for the long term. You're not going to trade these things actively. It doesn't really matter if unless you happen to retire and then you have a Fat Finger Day, and then it then turns into some sort of program trading disaster, and you needed the money for a down payment on a retirement home or something like that. It could be a problem. But other than that, the odds are pretty slim that in 10, 20, 30-year periods, you're going to end up, in a disadvantaged spot because of the complexity of ETFs. So you go to Vanguard and you're going to build your passive portfolio. You're going to set it, forget it. Not a bad place to do it. Lots of actively traded. The ETFs are very actively traded. Lots of volume day to day, and also you have. You have some of the lowest expense ratios because they are so big. You're paying very, very little. Now, if we'll use the detailing analogy. So buying all of your investments, if you're going to have any kind of like active, like you're going to try to select, performance-based or whatever metric you use, or you like the story that the money manager's telling you, because Vanguard does have some actively managed mutual funds that are still cheaper than others. But let's just say I'm going to be a detailer, and I'm going to go to chemical guys, So Vanguard is kind of like the chemical guys of the investment world. Actually, American funds would probably be the chemical guys of the investment world. So not to say chemical guys is good, bad, or indifferent, but you're stuck in a single universe. And so the odds are you're not going to find the best wheel cleaner, the best interior cleaner, the best decon soap, the best coating, the best towels, the best the best polishers. You're not going to find all the best stuff at one place, unless you were with a shop, like you hired a financial advisor, or you hired a fee-only financial planner that's clearing through Schwab or something like that, unless you had access, or you go and you open up yourself a Schwab account, a self-directed Schwab account or something like that, where you have access to a much bigger universe. In a perfect world, you'd want an infinite universe. So I would never just go put my money at Vanguard, because I'd be stuck with what their options are, unless I was going to buy, buy like 10 ETFs and just index it and never touch it, set it, rebalance it back to that original allocation and set it and forget it. And many would argue that net of fees, you can't beat the index anyway. I mean, that's true, but I've met on, one hand how many people will actually stick to that. It's very, very rare. And all of you that think you stick to it are full of crap. You haven't stuck to it ever your entire lives. You wait, and then when everybody else is selling, you sell. And then you feel really good because you sold before the bottom. And then you wait, and then you never buy at the bottom. You buy like years after the bottom. And you never really know what your returns are, because you never really look at that. You never really analyze that. And that's how most people do it. And so the cheaper you are, generally the worse returns you have, because you're so concerned about fees. I pay my guy 1%. I don't give a crap. And then buy whatever you want. Do whatever you want. So he has a very, very robust universe at Merrill Lynch, or most independents would have a bigger universe if you can find a really solid independent financial advisor, somebody who's a CFP, CFA, somebody really smart. Michelle was yelling at me because I called all financial advisors stupid last week. I didn't say they're stupid. I just said that they're inferior to the people in investment banking, from an intelligence perspective. I being one of them, right? So anyway, Vanguard is a nice option to have. I would rather have access to a firm that has access to Vanguard funds in addition to all the other low cost, like T. Rowe Price and TIAA CREF, and there's a dozen or so low cost options. But I would never want to be pigeonholed to just ETFs, or just open-ended funds, or just closed-end funds. Closed-end funds in general are kind of junk in most cases. But I'm not chasing dividend. I'm not chasing growth. I'm just looking for my advisor to choose an asset allocation based on some sort of mathematical conviction. And if I can make a decent return over time, that's all I care about. And that's all you should care about. And I find the less money you have, the more time you spend on it, the more money you lose, because you're spending too much time on it. You should be frickin' going to work and doing what you do best and generate the best returns possible. Your passive investment portfolio shouldn't be, unless that's your hobby or that's your thing, I don't think your passive investment portfolio should be a hobby. It should either be your sole reason to exist, your passion, or not. Like, I would want, I've said this many, many times, I would want it to be like the level of, you see how much I love detailing. Now, I'm not a professional detailer. I'm about as close as you could get without doing it professionally. That's like minimum standard of what I would want if I was going to be, picking stocks or managing my own portfolio. And most of you guys that are doing it have absolutely, positively no business doing it, because you're cheap. Cheap means you're going to get crappy returns. The average mutual fund nets like something like an 8.5% rate of return. The average mutual fund investor makes like a 2% return, because they just aren't convicted. You're following the soup du jour of the day, and then you're usually having some sort of investment behavior like home bias, or you're investing in things that you think you understand, or some other goofy bias where basically makes you buy high and sell low. So I don't do it myself, and I spent 15 years of pure obsession on it, and I don't do it because I don't have time to be passionate about it, and I don't want to be passionate about that. And you have to really be so if you're not at least reading, I'd say at least 2 to 3 hours a day, specific economic research, things like that. Even then, even if you're doing that, you're still probably going to get it wrong. So if you're not doing that, then you probably should be get on the phone. Do not call someone at Edward Jones. Do not call someone at some goofy third-rate firm. Your best odds are somebody that at least has a CFP, at least has some sort of reasonable bachelor's degree, something in mathematics, computer science, engineering. You want to stay away from I was a marketing major at the San Francisco State University or something like that, or I've got a home economics degree from from Bloomsburg, or something like that. You want to try to avoid that because those guys aren't going to pass the CFP. Those guys you want to avoid at all costs. So if somebody doesn't at least have a CFP, then they're either lazy or stupid. It's one of the two.
There you go, Kenny. Take that for what you will. Let's see. Oh, our buddy Ben Finner's checking in, his weekly check-in, to see about the dual battery Milwaukee leaf blower. It came in.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward, but it's more powerful than even the 765. I didn't run any tests on it with our meters, but it's clearly more powerful than the 765 is. But I don't like the 765. Why doesn't everybody listen to me? Buy the 580. It's the best one. They were like, wow, I got a deal. Who cares? But do you want a deal or do you want it to be the best? For $20, They're not talking like a difference of like $200. We're talking about $10, $20 here. Oh, I had the Snap-on guy whenever you're ready for me to get into that one. The Snap-on guy came today. Yeah.
All right. But what did you have? You had two 8.0s on it, right?
Yeah. It doesn't really. 6.0, 8.0 doesn't matter. You need to run it with two batteries.
Could you run it on one, or does it have to be two? Or did you?
I think it has to be two.
Okay.
I didn't try it, but it's balanced pretty well. I dried off the GT3 with it, the GT3 RS. It's nice. Yeah. I'm not sure yet. I need to spend some more time with it.
Our Detailing Garage wants to know if you have a stepladder recommendation.
No, not really.
All right, Joseph Korger says, I'm currently dialing in a motorcycle.
Okay.
It has large, shiny metal exhaust pipes. Can I put normal car ceramic coating on the pipes, or should I use Dr. Beasley's metal coat?
Yeah, you need a high temp because that's going to get to 1,000 degrees or 800 plus degrees, and so you'll probably melt off the other stuff. So you want something with the ability to handle the heat, and so I do the Dr. Beasley's on there.
Detailing Garage says, I detail cars, and bugs are really hard to get off the cars that are not coated. What would you recommend? I used Green Star.
Yeah.
I think we're getting in something new for that, right? Tommy told me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a tendency, I've always found that the Grio's yellow bug mitt is the sort of best on paint at scratching and does a good job. It's like a slight waffle weave, and so it doesn't tear up the paint and does a decent job. So I mean, I would use that, and but always make sure you get the bugs after you clean the sand and dirt and mud, all that stuff off. But I'm not really an expert in bug remover stuff. I remember I used to spray glass cleaner on there. That was a terrible idea. So, but there's plenty of, I'm sure, great bug removers, especially if you're about to polish and coat it and all of that stuff, and then I wouldn't worry so much about it. But yeah, I'm probably not the right guy to ask because I'm never having that issue because I'm always coating or waxing the front bumper before that ever became a problem.
Jack Hay wants to know, do you have a recommendation for a bright driveway light for when washing the car outside in the dark?
Not yet. Cree has a bunch of commercial stuff that I want to try out and test. but I don't really have a good recommendation for you at the moment. I can tell you that anything at Home Depot or anything that you're looking at like on Amazon is not going to be it. So it's going to have to be some sort of, likely 240 volt or 220 volt, 15 plus dedicated amp, 20 amp type fixture is going to be your general solution in some sort of floodlight fashion. And then if you can help it, you want the light to be 6500K because that'll help with mosquito attraction to some extent.
Blake Smith wants to know, is there any info on when EXO V5 will be in stock?
Yeah, we should have it next week or so.
Next week, Blake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why EXO V4 clearance sale. No. Joseph says, I also have trouble with caked on bugs on dialed vehicles. If anyone has a system that works well.
Yeah, I mean, if it is dialed in, it should come off. I mean, it's not going to come off in the wash, but then you use your drying aid to get the few bugs that didn't quite come off.
TDAZ250 wants to know, did you see the Inside the Hex comment about Klager plastic bottles?
No, I haven't.
I don't know what that is either. Well, let's see. Ben wants to know, to dilute the touchless pre-wash a little, can you use the adjustment on top of the foam cannon?
So think about this logically. If we're looking for a certain panel impact ratio, and let's say we filled it with water and we were testing it, it would just take longer for us to empty. Let's see, it would take longer. So less water would come out, but it would just take more time. So if I'm spraying it into a bucket and I want to empty the water out to figure out how many gallons of water are coming out per 1 liter of water or product that's in my foam cannon, whatever reservoir. And so if I turn the knob down to say 50%, I'm theoretically going to use the same amount of water over a longer period of time, and I'm going to use the same amount of product. So let's see. Let me think about this. So if we cut it in half, so we're going to use half the water, half the product. But I think we end up in the same spot. I don't freaking know. I don't know.
Are you really using half the water though? Is it cuts everything in half?
I don't know. I'm just probably not, but some version of that.
Gotcha.
I guess it wouldn't be 50%, but I don't know.
We'll add it to our list of things.
You're making my brain hurt this afternoon.
MX304 says, how's the wash bay planning going? Did you find an engineer?
No. I'm back to the drawing board. I wanted to have this done by now. I haven't even started.
We're even close to starting.
God dang it. I don't know. I'm taking the weekend off thinking about it, and I'll come back to it next week.
Adam Yu says, hey, Matt, have you ever considered a lifetime Hex membership? Maybe something cool to launch with the GT3 RS giveaway for the OG followers.
I thought about it. Yeah, I don't know. I think what I thought about doing was to do, like, let's say, pick a number, I don't know, $1,000 or something like that, and then but leave it blank where you could, if you wanted to really contribute, if you wanted to pay more, you could. So it's like 1,000 or whatever number you write in. We'll probably come up with something like that at some point, but I need to be able to have more benefits, So we're still developing the platform. Like, what's the benefit other than me giving you a vlog? Which I think the vlogs are of value. Somebody made a comment when I made the video on the YouTube channel, just sort of reintroducing it so we could put it on the main page of the membership. He said, "Well, you haven't posted something in 10 days. I'd like you to do some more." It wasn't mean or anything about it, that kind of gets me all the time. Like, man, I need to do more, but I don't want to do more. I want to do better, right? And so I want to do what I feel compelled to do, and so I've stuck to that formula. Sometimes that's 3 or 4 or 5 things in a week. Sometimes it's not something for 2 weeks. I just need to connect. Like, I think something is really interesting. I think it's interesting as we sat down and talked through the cabinet line that we have that we're testing and talk through what would we change if we were to change something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you're right. Sometimes it's 3 and 4 in a week. Sometimes it's a little while in between.
Yeah, like I didn't vlog this week. I just didn't have anything exciting because we were finishing the garage. All that vlog will go on the YouTube channel, so I didn't have anything specific for it.
Steve M. says, "Hey, Matt, in recent washes, you wash twice. First with touchless and second with a foam and wipe.
Mm-hmm.
What is the advantage of using a special soap for the first wash instead of using gentle snow foam twice?"
So remember, when you're using like the GSF, it's a pH neutral soap that's doing very little in the cleaning department. And so you do it twice, you're doing nothing twice, really. So to me, something like GSF or Adams car shampoo or some sort of regular normal pH neutral type soap, yeah, there's some detergent and surfactant in there that's probably doing some dislodging, but most of the purpose of that soap is for lubrication. The purpose of the European style of I'm going to foam first, snow foam first, and this goes back to me and wax. The snow foam is going to degrade your wax quicker because generally snow foam has a higher alkalinity, but I've kind of railed against this for years of doing that because I don't want to attack my protection layer. And so I'd rather use a 2-bucket method, and I'd rather you got to draw the line somewhere because otherwise you just put your car in a vacuum and never touch it, and so never drive it, never touch it, just let it sit there. But then that has problems too because then the engine isn't getting up to temp, and your oil turns to goo, and your gas turns to water, and you have all kinds of problems. So your flat spots in your tires, so that's not a solution. And so you kind of have to pick a process, just like I was talking about earlier. Somebody has to decide what the asset allocation is. Somebody has to decide what ETF to buy. Somebody has to decide how it's going to be done. And so with wax and sealant, it was a lot more finicky. I don't want to tear it off. And I noticed using Geon snow foam was the first snow foam I ever really tried when Geon was first brought to the U.S. by Esoteric. And I'm like, this is terrible. It basically ripped the wax right off the car. And so I'm like, this is not what I want. And it didn't foam very well either. So I'm like, this is a foam that doesn't foam for squat and ruins my surface. So I kind of stayed away from that whole concept with the philosophy that I would rather just maintain my protection layer. And then in a couple of years, when I eventually mar the surface because my pH neutral lubricating soap isn't a perfect solution, you're still touching, you're still contacting the surface. So you're still going to have some marring, scratching, toweling marks, things like that in as you touch the car. But then, you can usually minimize that by good washing procedure, good pressure, or less pressure on your drying, using a drying aid to help lubricate. So to me, it's all about lubrication. I'll lubricate the surface. I want to make sure that I have some sort of layer between me and the surface of the paint to help to alleviate the scratching. The concept of there's dirt in my rinse bucket is kind of dumb to me because if this is the surface, if I'm holding my phone up here, so if this is the square area that I'm going to do, whatever this is, 6x2 or whatever, I'm going to take this area and there's a layer of dirt on it. And so if I come at this layer of dirt with a fresh, clean towel that's just been dunked in fresh water, the dirt is still here. So that has my dunking in the bucket has nothing to do with the dirt that's on the surface. And so I take my mitt, I wipe the surface, and theoretically I possibly done some marring or scratching. So hopefully my soap, my pH neutral soap, has lots of lubrication. So hopefully that, and I have a soft pad, and I don't use a lot of pressure, and I don't keep going over, and I'm not buffing at it. So then the surface of my phone, this little square area, gets cleaned. Then I go, and I have a little extra dirt. Now I have the dirt. The dirt transfers from most of it from the car surface. Not all of it, but most of it, because the rest of it will come off on the rinse. And then even not all of it's coming off the rinse, you're still going to have some little bit of residual when you're drying. So that multiple steps then gets the surface completely clean. So I then take my mitt and I dunk it in my rinse bucket, and it dumps a little bit of dirt in there. And then I dunk it in my soap bucket, and it probably dumps a little dirt in there. But I'm going to a new surface, so this is my next phone. I'll go to a new surface. It still has the same amount of dirt that the previous surface had. So maybe through my double dunking, maybe I haven't transferred all of the dirt from my pad, but it doesn't matter because the dirt's on the paint. It's dirt's still on this next phone. And so I'm going to go and do that process over and over again. So the concept of I need my rinse bucket to be clean because it's dirty at the end of the wash doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, the amount of dirt that it's introducing, it's considerably less dirt from my double dunking than it is on the surface of the paint. So when people are so concerned about, well, I need a new pad every time I touch the paint again, the pad is not really the problem. It's the surface dirt that's the problem that's already on the paint. So the European standard is let's get as much surface dirt off before we even go that. So then 2 bucket, 1 bucket, 50 towels, 1 towel doesn't matter. 1 wash pad, 10 wash pads doesn't matter as much because I've already attacked the dirt. Now, the argument I had with the Europeans is your dirt is not dirtier than my dirt. Dirt is dirt. Yeah, there's tar, and yeah, there's clay, and yeah, there's some maybe different types of soil and stuff like that, but dirt is frickin' dirt, and yeah, some dirt has more rock content than others, but if it's dirty, it's going to scratch, and so you need to do something about that. And so my methodology has always been rinse really, really well, then put the soap on, and then wash, and then rinse that off using a 2-bucket method. It works really well, but could we do better? I mean, again, you have to draw the line somewhere. And so modern coatings now have superseded most waxes for most people, sealants and waxes. And then modern coatings now have greater chemical durability. And then snow foams have also gotten more intelligent. And so the snow foams have been engineered in labs to attack the dirt, but not necessarily to the now much more stout protection layer. And so I'm revisiting it, and I'm starting to like the concept. And so you're using a high alkalinity. Now, this is something that Pete Hamber made very clear to me, and I think we talked about this last week. Most people just dump an all-purpose cleaner into their soap and say, well, I raised the alkalinity, and so now I have a better stripping product. But an all-purpose cleaner is designed to attack, depending on how it's designed, like greases and things like that. So you think of an all-purpose cleaner kind of like Dawn, where Dawn is engineered to leave a detergent on your hands, so to leave it on your hands, not hurt your hands, but it's designed to attack grease. I mean, that's its main purpose, main goal. And so whatever combination of detergents, surfactant, and other chemicals they put in there it's designed very specifically. And so now we have snow foams that are designed very specifically to attack a little less the surface layer protection, and combined with the better surface level protection being more durable. So we have better snow foam, better durability, and so I'm kind of revisiting the idea. So you would hit the surface. What I was getting at was not all pH is created equal. And so you can have one product with a certain amount of surfactant and detergent in it that's a pH of 12, and you can have another one that has some other stuff in it that has a pH of 12. But depending on how they got to their pH of 12, on how that's formulated and how it's tested and how it's used, can make a difference. How long do I let it sit there? What's my dilution ratio? All those kind of things. So the thing that has really always intrigued me was working with it like a real chemist. And so Pete Hamber is a real chemist versus blended products. Even CarPro, Geon. I mean, these are heavy blended products. They're doing testing. I would argue. I think Rob, I know him well from G-Technic, tests more than CarPro and Geon does. To me, CarPro is the originator, and then Geon kind of came in and marketed better. And so it'd be like me and Adams both using B&B. One's been doing it longer with more experience. The other one comes in with more money and maybe more patience and then you have two people making products at B&B and with different philosophies, and so sometimes there's a Geon product that's like a marquee product, sometimes there's a CarPro product, but they're very, very similar. I think largely because of where they're made in the Korean blending facility. They're both, I think, made in the same spot. In the beginning, you have to give it to the CarPro people. I mean, Geon was basically a carbon copy. Prep versus Eraser. They just changed the color and scent. And maybe it was a little bit different. You would hope that CarPro had some, negotiated some exclusivity on the stuff. So anyway, Built Hamber to me has some, Pete has some real chops on the corrosion side of things, with corrosion protection or prevention and corrosion eradication. And so that background, I think, bodes well for the potential for us to, me to really like what he's doing. And so we're adding another step in that we're hitting it with a pH of, say, 12 or 13 that's designed to take my proverbial cell phone here with dirt on it and take 70, 60, 70, 80% of the dirt off first, and that before I even touch it. And so then, theoretically, as long as it's not attacking your surface, because my argument always was, what good is it if I have to reapply my protection? So what good is me stripping it? I end up with, I don't end up with as much marring and scratching, but I still have to polish off whatever's left of the coating to put the new coating on. And so what's the benefit to this, using this extra soap? And it's beating up my coating quicker. So if it's not beating it up, then I think the argument's no longer valid. And then if it's not beating up my coating lasts the same amount of time, and I'm making less dirty contact, then it makes more sense.
Steve also then asked, are you selling that touchless wash that you've been using?
Not yet. There's a new formulation that we're talking about. I need to have Bryce get me some of that. I bet you he got it. He probably stole it from me. That there's a new formulation that Pete says has the same effectiveness at 0.5 dilution ratio, which would be amazing, or 0.5 panel impact ratio.
Raymond Garcia wants to know, is there a list of what chemicals you currently use in your clear Pressall spray bottles?
Well, it's all the ObsessedGarage.com, right? So if you go through each section, those are the exact chemicals. Brake Buster, or, P&S Interior Cleaner,
or if you just look at the label.
CarPro.
We sell the little label packages too, so that'll tell you all the labels.
Yeah, and so you're just, the OG detailing stuff is what I'm putting in the Pressall bottle.
The Billiard Corner wants to know, when are the price increases coming for the ICS dry ice machines?
I don't know. I think Scott was planning on implementing them sometime this month, but soon. So you'd want to get your order in, and it's not going to be huge, but it'll probably be 2 or 3%. The euro strengthening against the dollar is why.
Adam Yu wants to know, do you have any plans on getting the PSB Alpha IQ speakers in for testing?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to them not too long ago. The one disappointing thing is there's not enough output. They're too lean for as much as they cost. I was really sad about that because I was excited. So it's basically the difference between an AM5 and a P5 with an Edge. Remember, I just did the video with the Power Node Edge. So the Power Node Edge is underpowered, and so it's like I get some decent amplitude out of it, a little bit more than I would, maybe 10 or 15% more than I would with the self-powered AM5s, and versus having the Edge and the passive speakers. But it's nowhere near what I wanted. I wanted the Alpha IQs to basically be a Power Node and a pair of P5s in one box, and it's not that good. So I would highly recommend we do the Power Node and P5s over the Alpha IQs for less money, for $50 less. Much more amplitude, much better sounding, and so that would be my strong recommendation, because really that's what I wanted. So the Alpha IQs are basically a set of P3s with an Edge, the Edge Power Note Edge. So you might as well buy P3s, the Power Note Edge, for $950 and save yourself the money.
Brian Louderback wants to know, which sub do you recommend for a home theater setup? I don't want to spend too much, but I still want a quality sub. Also powered versus non-powered.
There's so many great sub companies out there. My favorites on the sort of produced low, mid-end or mid to low end, good bang for your buck, is SVS. So the SVS, and then just, it's as simple as much money as you got. The more money you spend, the better. The best one is the Ultra, the 16 Ultra ported. If you have, and so it's a combination of how much money you got, how much space do you got, how big do you want it to be. The bigger, the better. The more money, the better. And so you work your way down, all the way down to the 1000 series, the 1000 Pro, and you've kind of work your way from $600 up. And so in that range, SVS is the way to go. JTR, if you're going to get crazy and you have a lot of space, go look at JTR stuff. Massive, 4,000 watt amplifiers. Another great sub company is Seaton, Mark Seaton's Immersive. I'm not a big fan of the cheapies like the HSUs and the Monoprice and the stuff like that. I'd much rather have an SVS. The fit and finish is better. SVS is going to be better than all the the big names, the big brands. So I'm doing SVS, JTR, or maybe JL. JL for fit and finish. You're gonna pay a lot more for a JL and underperform a JTR, but a JTR is much more handmade. It's Mark Seaton's Immersive, much more handmade. And I like REL subs too on the musical side of things. But in my home theater, I have the Dynaudio subs, which I'm a huge fan of. But you're paying way up for for the Dynaudio.
This is one I was thinking about. That giant.
Oh, the 4000 ULF from JTR, yeah. It's like 48 inches deep. It's like 50 inches tall. Weighs like 400 pounds.
I remember that thing. Yeah,
dual 15s and a bandpass type ported enclosure. It's pretty gnarly.
Super chat, $4.99 US from Destin. Have you seen an R1T with the headlights tinted? It helps with the looks a little bit, in my opinion.
No, you can never tint headlights. That's a terrible idea. Why would you want to tint? Why would you want to tint like the thing that makes the light that helps you see? That makes no sense. And there's no benefit. At least tinting your windows, there's a benefit to it. Because, it does help with looks a little bit, but it tints the lights so that way, or it tints the incoming light so it doesn't, damage your dash, hurt your eyes, all that kind of stuff. But on the headlights, I want it to be clearer so that way I can see better. Yeah, that's like the New Jersey spiky-haired, fist pumping, Jersey Shore bro. That's what they do. Everybody else shouldn't do that. So no, definitely not.
Zuropa82. Hey, Matt, what do you think of the new 718 Spider RS?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome to get one of those, wouldn't it? I'm not even going to try. But yeah, it's awesome. I mean, that's kind of an ugly car. I mean, but I think the ugliness is completely offset by how freaking awesome that thing is. So they're going to put the the GT4 RS motor into the 718 Spider. It's pretty sick.
Ben Finner wants to know if you have any thoughts or experience on Little Debbie unicorn cakes.
Oh yeah,
you know those? It's like
those look great.
Ooh, that does look good.
Yeah.
But when they have ice cream too, of course.
Well, I've never seen any of this ice cream. Where do they only have it at Walmart?
Yeah,
is that the deal?
That's the issue.
Oh, I look every time I go to a grocery store, but I don't go to frickin' Walmart.
Your parents go every weekend. You should just ask them to see if they can get it. Sparkling strawberry flavors.
Mm-hmm.
Try that.
No thanks.
James Clark, our big-headed buddy, wants to know, hey, Matt and Chris, random question for you. I'm interested in how Matt handles everyday problems, like, let's say, Michelle and Kate's hair clogging the drains. Does Matt fix this, or does he just move houses?
Yeah, I mean, I've always fixed that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess we really don't have much of a problem with that. But yeah, I've always been the one to pull it out and fix it. And today, I mean, I'd probably just have somebody else do it. But I talked Mike into bringing Trevor over to do it or something for me. But I've just hired like a real deal cleaning lady. So rather than a service. So we're going to see how that goes, to get somebody to come several times a week to keep things to a standard. Michelle's about to get a job, either as a teacher or some sort of full-time coaching type gig at the new school. So whatever money she makes, I'm reinvesting back in my own sanity. It's really pretty awesome because she doesn't like doing any of that crap, so she really doesn't do it. And so, like the old grocery shopping, laundry, making sure that I have 8 spoons in each. There's big spoons and little spoons. I have a set of 16, so 8 little, 8 little, 8 little, 8 little on the bottom, 8 little on the top, 8 big on the bottom, 8 big on the top in my Hayfla organization to keep things like that. And then, vacuuming out that because there's little crumbs and crap that gets in there all the time. Making sure my knives are in progressive order in the drawer. Wiping down the outdoor kitchen, once or twice a week to keep the Florida funk off of it. Doing, no dishes sitting out. No laundry explosion. Taking care of my microfiber towels. And so that will make a big difference in my sanity and efficiency in life. And so rather than paying, a couple $100 a week, I'll probably have to pay double that to get somebody to really dial it in. And with my goal to get to the point where we have somebody 3 days a week to keep a standard, like a real standard. Same thing here as I appointed Manny president of Yarn Operations.
Saw that.
President of Yarn Awesomeness to fight to keep it dialed. Here it should be easy. We have freaking 30 people, and so if everybody has one square one 10 by 10 square area, and you just maintain that, it should be really easy. So nothing makes me cringe more than when I'm touring somebody around and I just see the freaking chaos. It drives me nuts, just crazy. And same thing in my house. And so I've actually moderated quite a bit. I used to have a real problem. If we had anybody coming over, our Claremont house, the first house we bought, I'd just be like, man, these people, they don't even know how to sit on the couch properly. It's like if you came over, you brought your Rugrats and you're just so chill, you don't give a crap. Yep. I'd be freaking out. I'm like, he's going to come over. You should be getting crumbs all over the place, and your kid's drooling on the floor, and touching my walls and kicking the baseboards. And I got to tell you to take your shoes off, but then you don't want to do that. And so I've lightened up a bunch. So what I'm looking to do is not get rid of that lighten up and get back to standard. To have somebody I guarantee if you took a paper towel right now, so I have a cleaning crew that comes in once a week. If you took a paper towel, sprayed some invisible glass, and wiped the floor, it would be brown, guaranteed. I guarantee it. And so if I were doing it, I would, clean it so they didn't do that. And then if you do it once or twice a week, then it stays maintained. But you got to pay for that. And I was never ready to do that. Well, we're going to see if we can figure this out. I found a lady who I think she's going to be able to dial in to the standard. And then if it's maintained, it's so much easier. And again, I used to do this myself, but I just don't have the time or energy, or it'd be a dumb thing for me to do. I'd be better off paying that extra bit of money, an extra few $100s a month, and go develop a new product or find something new or make a video, for gosh sakes. Make 5 more videos with that amount of time. And then I don't really like doing it anyway. I kind of like doing it when I get into it, but it's one of those procrastinating things. And then remember, I've always been saying we need a laundry specialist. And so I'm tacking that on. So I'm ordering the dual stacker Speed Queens. I'll sell the old Speed Queens. Hit me up if somebody wants to buy those from me. And we're going to be cranking through some laundry. So there's never any laundry sitting around. I hate that.
It's exciting.
It's going to be great. I'm going to be living a dream. I feel like a dream world and while I'm laying on the couch pretending that I'm working harder, somebody's just taking care of everything. It's going to be awesome.
Jake wants to know, hey, Matt, which bed covers do you like? I think I'm going to go Retrax because it seems to be the best, but curious what you like.
What are you talking about? Pee-pee pad? Is that what he's talking about?
Bed covers. I don't know if that... It sounds like a truck bed?
Yeah. I think he's talking about like a bed wetter, bed mattress protector.
I don't have any experience.
Which one did I buy from Michelle's that is my favorite?
You get $100 off right now at Real Truck.
I think
here in Ocala, Florida, for what that's worth. Retrax.
What's the one that I have for her that's my favorite? Crap, I don't remember. It's not that.
You'll think of it.
I will not. I have no idea. I have no clue.
We'll look it up. Maybe Jake.
That's such a cheesy, goofy industry, bed cover world. Most of them are really goofy.
Whew, $2,200. It's expensive. Let's see. Ricky says, hey, Matt, I'm not ready to do a full ceramic coat yet. Do you recommend Dr. Beasley Nano NSL 10 spray ceramic coat in the meantime?
Wait, say that again? He's doing...
Not ready to do a full ceramic coat yet.
I'd be inclined to just put a coat of wax on it. Put a coat of 845.
We have a big super chat, MW_F80, $100 US.
Oh, nice. He contributes periodically. Thanks, man. Yeah. Appreciate it.
It says here, please palm Chris a hundo live on the air. We've all been wanting to see that for years. It's in red. You can't
see that.
Let's see. Hey, Matt. Oh, go back to this for a second. Stephen Ball. Are you able to get an allocation for a GT4 RS?
Nope. No. I would buy one if I could.
And which car do you plan on purchasing first, the 991.1 GT3 RS or the GT4 RS?
I don't know. I think it's going to be dependent on what's going on in the market with it. I don't intend to do it anytime soon. We'll see how the GT3 RS giveaway does, and so in a perfect world, I'd be buying both of them in the next year or so. But I'm not sure. It just depends on which one looks like a better choice. I want them both. So that's the goal: GT4 RS, GT3 Touring, and GT3 RS, and I'll be and those will be like my main cars for all content and driving and stuff like that.
Jeffrey Walker says, "Good morning, Matt and Chris from Down Under, catching you live at work." Oh, thanks, Jeffrey, all the way from Australia.
That's one place that I really don't have any desire to go.
Yeah,
I know everybody wants to go to Australia.
I'd like to.
I'd like to have a place there, but we have a facility there.
It's a long way away.
That's my problem. Yeah. Is the distance.
It's a long flight.
Yeah.
Brian says, "How's the Rivian treating you? Is the quality comparable to Porsche?"
I don't know about that. I mean, probably not. But it's Michelle's. I mean, I haven't even driven it, but she's loving it. It's like I said, it's not. I mean, it was not 78,000, 76,000. It's like $125,000+ car. Like in comparison to other cars. It probably cost them, 90 just to make the thing, excluding all the other infrastructure investment and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a screaming deal. It's way, way nicer than I thought it was going to be.
Part of the reason he asked, he says he's looking for a daily driver in the $80,000 to $90,000 range. I just looked at a Panamera Turbo, exceptional quality, but it's 5 years old with 30,000 miles.
Yeah, Panameras are just so weird. They're kind of nice to drive. I was really pleasantly surprised with that the 2.9 liter that I'd rented. But so I can imagine the V8's probably pretty cool, but it's just so darn ugly. But the quality on that, I mean, we're talking about two different classes here. The Rivian is a brand new thing. I think that. In that range, your best daily driver is probably a Gen 3 Raptor outside of the gas cost.
Roland Lock. Does that sound familiar? I feel like that's the name of your Toyota. Roland Lock.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll look it up. Mark Winning says, thanks for the quick shipping, guys. Ordered something at 11 a.m. yesterday and shipped about an hour later. Nice.
Yeah, we're pretty on it. One with having stuff in stock, and then two with having the team firing on all cylinders, and just wait, it's going to be more efficient. when we're implementing. We've hired a new software company to take us to the next level called Deposco, and we'll have better inventory management, better ordering, so we'll have stuff in stock more often. It's going to also afford me the ability to maybe stock a little less at times and be a little bit more proactive in that. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. We appreciate that for the kind words. Let's see. Sorry if it's been asked, but any decision on the wash bay at the house? Going with the original design or just a pole building? Stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, I still want to do the original design, but I just don't know how I'm going to do it. So I got to figure out how to get this done. I might have to just pay the darn engineer $8,000 to spend 12 minutes putting it together. So, I don't know.
Andrew Hawk says, Happy Friday, gents. Matt, you mentioned in the Rivian video that you use Clear at the airport.
Yep.
What led you to use Clear over TSA PreCheck?
Well, you do both. It's like for the superhumans. You know, you get Clear, and so there's a Clear TSA PreCheck line. And so you get to go through it twice as fast.
Yeah, and then that part of your Amex card too, the Platinum. Yeah, you get credit for it.
Oh, crap. I think I just pay for it.
Well, if you pay for it on your card,
they
automatically
go and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's awesome. Because then you especially at like big airports like Atlanta, there's like a special Clear TSA, same thing with Orlando. You go to the Clear line all the way over the PreCheck line, and let's say there's 40 people in the PreCheck. There's 2 of us in the Clear PreCheck, and you just cruise right through.
Nicholas says, Hi, Matt. I got full PPF on my 992 Carrera T and coded it with CSL last month. I held off on EXO to apply version 5. I've driven about 1,200 miles since and have been driving with Speed Shine. How would you prep for V5?
I'd use something a little bit milder like CarPro Eraser as your prep, assuming that you don't have any crunchiness from any kind of contamination. And then just put XOV5 on top. Yeah, so wash it like normal. I'd probably wash it with Decon soap or CarPro Reset. Then I'd wipe it down with CarPro Eraser gently, and then I would put the XO on top.
Southern Motoring Solutions says, Has Matt ever looked at the Boxo USA modular tool storage system?
Yeah, it's junk. I'd pick Tecton first.
He says, junk, ? I'm looking for a cheap solution for a section of my shop to be used by new hires.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I'd do Sabre cabinets. Unless you needed a rolling box. If you need a rolling box, man, I mean, I would pony up the money because the Sonic stuff is cheap in comparison. But Boxo is a Chinese, real cheap Chinese stuff. Tecton is nicer. I don't know about the Tecton storage stuff. The tools are nicer than the Boxo stuff. Anybody who is sponsoring YouTubers is not going to be good. That's like heavy into sponsorship is not going to be a good choice for you in almost all instances.
Now, look at this. You already got an email about your Speed Queens. All you got to do is mention it.
Yeah.
Right, Maverick 302.
I got to get moving.
Let's see. Morgan Butler says, Matt, the builder I'm talking to uses a can light that has selectable color temp.
No.
Not sure on the brand model. Is it worth using or go with CR6 3500K?
No, never color selectable. Think about it. Color selectable has basically 2 chips or 2 LEDs, and so it has to find like a happy medium. So you're always going to be less color accurate, no matter how expensive they are. You always want a dedicated chip with a dedicated color temp. It's going to be much, much higher quality. So yeah, you don't want them to do, and they're like, oh, it's all the same. No, not even close. There isn't one. The SLG lights, the Sacco lights. I actually bought a Sacco color selectable versus a Sacco dedicated. I want to put them on the ceiling and see the difference. But you always want the single chip dedicated color temp. CR6T is, I believe, the best retrofit, even better than like the base, even better than the, like if you're buying the like LEDs like the that are all part of the package, like a installed LED versus a retrofit. They're some of the best there is, and they're $30 a piece. So yeah, don't listen to them. Say, just put me a freaking can in there, and I'll get my own lights.
In your opinion, this is from MX304, what are the market risks with Robinhood rolling out 24-hour trading hours for stocks?
I don't know. First of all, why are you even doing anything at Robinhood? You have no business doing that. If you're at Robinhood, then you don't know what you're doing. I guarantee it. I would love to have a debate. Let's sit down and talk. And out of 500 people, maybe 2 would be able to convince me. I don't think that really matters. I mean, they're just going to make a fake number up, and then that fake number will become like a tradable number. But no thanks.
Eric says, "Hey Matt and Chris, is XOV4 a user-friendly coding for an enthusiast to use?"
Oh yeah, it's a little smeary as you're wiping off, but super easy to deal with. Way easier to install than a wax. Super helpful if you can do it when it's not humid out. And when it's humid out, it's just annoying to get off. You just need a few towels to work on it. But yeah, it's super, super easy. Wipe it on, put it on your whole hood, and wipe it off. Just know that it pushes, so you'll push it onto the fender, so you need to wipe that edge of the fender. You can see it. You can see it smearing around. You just have to get it all off.
CKP says, "Hey Matt, a question. Can I use the same foam canister for Brake Buster and then use it again for Kosh Kimi?"
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, if you have a little bit of extra residue in there, it's fine. You're going to want 2, because then you got to dump it back out every time. It'd be annoying. They're like, what, $20? Buy another one. Buy another, just the
bottle itself.
The bottle, yeah.
I think it's 14 actually. So they're easy to get. Tinkering with Twins says, "Hey Matt, what are your opinions / recommendations for a side hustle? I detail for close friends and family, but do not want to expand that to the general public. Passive income recommendations?"
Well, there's no such thing as passive income generally. There's active. You have to actively become an expert in passive income, which becomes a active thing, or or you don't do it. So all these people are going, "Well, you just get rentals," and you've got to, if you're going to be any good at it, you got to be active about it. You got to be passionate about it. You got to chase it. So I would sit down and assess, what do I really like doing? What am I really into? And then from there, figure out if I'm into it. Not only am I into it, but do I actually know anything about it? Can I provide value? Is this something that I know enough about? I don't have to be the world's foremost expert, but is this something that in general, as I'm walking around the street, I'm in the top 1% of this thing? Whether it's, I don't know, maybe you're a good meal prepper or something like that. You want to start prepping meals for some people on the side because you're already prepping your own. You want to figure out a way to not have to pay for groceries anymore. So those people have essentially fund your grocery purchases because you're making chicken and chopping it up and broccoli and putting it in little bins for you. So why not add 5 more people, and then you end up with a net zero grocery bill and then some, make a few bucks. That's something. Or if you're passionate about sports and sports cards, maybe you start figuring out how to find deals on those and sell them. Or there's lots of people that side hustles buying and selling watches. But you can't, even me, I kind of dug into the watch world. I'm not interested in becoming a figuring out what are things worth, and then find the places to go find them for less than that, and then doing that for $100 here and there. But the $100 is relative. If you don't make a lot of money, then making $100 5 or 6 times extra in a week can make a pretty significant difference in your outcome in life. And then that 500 turns into 5,000. That 5,000 turns into 50,000. That 50,000 turns into 5 million. And then next thing you know, it turns to 500 million, and you've changed the world. So I think that a side hustle, to me, this is just for me, has to be something I'm really interested and passionate about, combined with some level of expertise. And if I really like the stuff and I'm not quite at expertise level, then maybe I'll wait a little longer to start side hustling and invest all that time I would have invested in side hustling on becoming a subject matter expert, so that way then I can provide value.
Shaz29 says, "I noticed you do different tint levels on different cars. Speaking strictly cosmetically, ignoring heat rejection, how do you choose the tint percentage, excluding windshield, which I would keep at 70%?
Yeah, it's always just a I don't know, what should I do kind of conversation with myself, and the depends on how cool the interior is, what it looks like. Like I'm gonna do 70% all around on the GT3 Touring because the interior is really cool looking. But generally speaking, I'm doing like 20% in the rear and 70% on the front. I think that's the best combo. But if you're night driving all the time, that should be a factor. You know, if you're driving primarily at night, you probably want to stay like 50% or something like that. It depends on the climate you're in, depends on what color your interior is, all those kind of things. But generally speaking, I like to keep it the same. But I'm always trying out new stuff, and that's when I end up trying different shades. But it's generally speaking, I'd like somewhere around a 30% in the sides and back and a 70% on the windshield. Perfect, actually, I think is 80% on the windshield.
Ben says he got his Ego 580, and his toddler loves it. With the gutter kit and the tennis ball launcher aspect.
Nice.
She's playing fetch with herself right now.
That's cool.
Is there an ETA, Slitzer wants to know, on Built Hammer products making it to the OG store?
No, not really. I'm taking my time. It depends on what. Some days I get up, all right, let's just get this done. It's a bigger project because I'm going to do something quite a bit different, is what I'm pitching them. I don't know if they're going to prove it or not, but on how I'd like to bring the products in.
Jack Boudreau says, hey, Matt, I know your affinity for Porsche, BMW, and Honda. I know Ferraris could possibly be in the future. You've mentioned before no interest in Koenigsegg. Really? An amazing paint job that you would like.
Nah. I mean, you'd have to make like $100 million a year to be able to do that. You know, it's not really that interesting to me. And, you know, maybe I'll make $100 million. Who knows? But I don't know. Maybe that would change if I had that much money. I don't know. But I don't really think about those kind of things. It was never really an aspirational thing to me. I don't like looking at other people's cars, so I don't really care to go look at it. It would be a fun buying experience, I think, if you could ball in that hard. Maybe you don't have to make $100 million, but you'd have to make 25 a year.
What does one of those cost? $1 million? $2 million?
Two plus. Ooh. Yeah.
TPD Detail CR says, I followed Matt's advice, thanks to Destiny as well. I ordered the 765.
Okay.
It got lost in transit.
Good.
So I ended up ordering a 580 at the end, thanks to Nathan and Manny for a great support experience.
Yep.
So there you go.
It's just better. The 765 has more output, but it's like huffing like through a bigger straw, it almost feels like. That's the only way I can describe it. The 580 just has the most pleasant sound. It has the appropriate amount of output. It's weighted properly. Unfortunately, it's discontinued, so.
All right, here come a bunch of speaker numbers for you.
Okay.
From Kiel Skogstad. I would like to have an opinion on the combination of the following.
Okay.
NAD C298.
Okay.
Hegel P20 preamplifier.
Okay.
PSB B600 speakers with PSB 250 sub.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Sound Note X with recommendations for speaker cables. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would do really, really well. I mean, that C298 can power pretty much anything. So I think those the speakers are still medium efficiency. So I think it would sound pretty great. I don't love that PSB 250 sub. I don't like any of the PSB subs, but it's not terrible. It's just not. I think just the build quality on them, they're a little wonky. Just not my favorite. I think they sound mediocre. So I would be inclined to, if I was going to swap one thing out of there, I'd get rid of that PSB 250. I'd do an SVS SB 2000 or 3000 instead of that. But that other stuff should be pretty sweet. I haven't really heard the B600s, but I'm assuming they're going to sound pretty similar. Your preamp is fine. Your Node is going to do most of the work anyway. So that would be a pretty decent combination, I think.
What kind of speaker cables?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about speaker cables on that. That's not super high-end system, so I would either just grab some custom install rated, your 12 gauge, or get something like SVS has some decent like banana pre-terminated. The Metra cables that we have on a little bit more expensive, but all those are is just really prettily wrapped 12 gauge speaker wire. So getting something like Kimber or some Audio Quest speaker cables, I don't think is really going to help you out much there.
Danny wants to know if you have any new tools or equipment that you're looking forward to in 2024.
Yeah, next year I think we'll probably start to really get into the experience of buying and trying all different types of tool systems. I was just in the Snap-on truck today, and you guys are on freaking glue.
Here we go.
I just can't believe it. I mean, the tools, I don't want any of them. Like, none of them. They're just slightly janked. Everything about the whole thing is just hokey. It's like Harbor Freight, but times a million. Well, clearly Harbor Freight just copied them, right? So they Chinesed out the Snap-on, line of stuff. So Harbor Freight is a shady, copy place. But why would you copy? Like, it's just, the whole thing is just dirty. It's dirty financing. It's dirty pricing. There's little dirt everywhere. It's just, I'm going to buy a toolbox, by the way. So I figure I should have one here. I'm going to buy a toolbox. I'm going to buy a Lista box as well. And I'll probably, even though I sold my Sonics, I'll probably buy another Sonic box. We'll have them all, on hand. Like, probably put them in the shed we're going to get out here, and just have them so we can, test things and try things out. But I was way off. I didn't realize. So an Epic toolbox, which I started watching some videos after everybody's telling me how I'm so stupid and how great these things are. And I remember them being a certain way, and I was like, well, maybe my memory's off. I haven't messed with one in a little while, but I've spent dozens of hours just kind of playing with them. I actually reorganized. I forgot about this, so I would go and spend like the whole day getting my car aligned, waiting for Bill at Dynasty, and it was like a real banged up, Snap-on Epic, and I would reorganize it for him all the time. And just spending time in the drawer saying, I can't believe that anybody buys these things. Well, I was way off. I didn't realize. So a 68-inch, which is a pretty decent size, 68-inch toolbox, Epic, you pick your color, is $17,000. And it's terrible. Like, it's the worst toolbox. Like, I would probably rather have a Craftsman. The fit and finish is not good. It's
Are tools included in this?
No.
Oh wow, that is
yeah.
That's
what do they call it? The Big Boy or some bull crap like that is a 120-inch toolbox is like $28,000 list. Ooh. And everybody says, "Well, Matt, nobody pays list." I said, "So let me get this straight. So we're gonna play this game. So we're making such janky stuff that we're gonna play this game of." We're going to price it up substantially. And so I'm talking to the guy today. So I'm like, I want to buy one of these things. First of all, they don't make it very easy. I'm like, here's my call. I want to buy this. He's like, well, I got to call this guy and do this and do that. I'm like, no, I just want to buy one. Like, I don't care how long it takes. Tell me what I got to do. And so financing is 18%. Ooh. 18%. Sometimes they have a 9 for 9 deal. I don't know what that means. 9 years, 9% or something like that. And so there's different ways to do it. The truck will have some cash that they can lend out, right? So they basically buy the stuff and float it, no interest. And then they'll set you up on a payment plan however they think necessary. So you can do a simple pay me, get your tool now, put some money down, pay me however. I want to do like the regular financing to see, just for the fun of it, just to see how it works. And so then I'm like, am I paying $17,000 for this thing? He's like, no. We have to look at the promos, and then if you finance, you might get this promo. So they do this freaking game And he shows me the brochure. He's like, and you get like the popsicle stand thingy, like it's the July promo, like those those little plastic trays with you make your own Kool-Aid popsicles. You know what I'm talking about? You would love that. You'd love those promos, like a Snap-on stuffed animal and like a couple bunch of T-shirt. It tells you like if you buy a certain amount, you get these things. It's like Marlboro Bucks or something, or Pepsi Points. And you get the catalog. I'm like, what the? I almost said the F word when I'm in there. Like, what? Who? And you guys are yelling at me that this is the greatest stuff in the world. This is for the. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going there. So anyway, I'm going to buy one. And the drawer wobble open just like I thought. And he's like, well, you got to load it up. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'm sitting here at my desk with my $3,200 Sonic, which is probably the best toolbox in the frickin' world. The $3,200 Sonic MSS Plus, and fit and finish is spot on. $3,200. Actually, I don't even think it's that much. And that's like a 50-inch or something like that. A 48 inch or something. So 48 inch Snap-on is only like, $14,000, $14,000 for a far inferior everything. The finish is inferior, the handles are inferior, the latch is inferior, there's the tack weld points in the front of every drawer. Like those vertical pieces there, I was watching this guy complaining about it, like there's no cap. Yeah, what do they call that? The big jig or big slick. What's that thing say on the right? The on the right of it.
Something big. Let's see. Big
douche, big slime. I don't know, but I
Mr.
get
Big.
Oh yeah, Mr. Big. Yeah. That's like I'm gonna get a Mr. Big. That's $27,000.
Crazy.
Now. We're going to give you some Snap-on bucks and some popsicle holders and a couple of T-shirts. And then, if you finance it for, of course they're going to give you a rebate. If you finance it for 9 years at 9%, then we're going to give you an extra 2 G's off. Like 2 G's. How about 20 G's off? And then we're getting closer. That toolbox probably cost them $1,800 to make. $27,000, and so I'm going to get a sweet deal and buy it for 20 or 18. I can't do that. I'm not doing this. So I got to get a smaller one. So the 68 inch, I'll let you know what I get it for, but it's still going to be at least $10,000 or $11,000. Which again, I'm fine with the premium, but it's not as good as things that cost a third the amount. So I want it to be better. For that much money. It's not as good. Like it's like 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 different brands down in quality and function and casters. And I'm telling you this as someone who's literally flown across the country just fingering toolboxes. Like hugging toolboxes, sitting and standing in drawers and playing with slides and dealing with, I don't like this handle, but I like that handle. And you guys are telling me, so not only are you telling, I understand if it was like close and you just said, look, American made, they stand behind their product, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, we're not even in the same league as like a Lista box. And Lista has its own level of jank. This has jank like a whole nother level above. And then people are telling me that the Sonic toolbox is junk. Like, I wanted to buy a Snap-on tool. That was my entire life's mission, was to get a Snap-on toolbox. That's all I wanted. And I wanted to be able to go on the truck and order stuff. I was in that truck I have an infinite amount of money that I could spend in there right now. And there wasn't one single thing in that truck that I want. I was trying to figure out, what can I buy? Like, he's here. This is great. I have a credit card with no limit. I can get whatever I want and justify it and write it off, and I couldn't even come up with something that I wanted. I'm like, well, I really want those like really long reach ratchets. And he showed me. I'm like, this is freaking shiny. I'd rather have anything from Vacom or Hazette for half the amount of money. I think that the freaking set of like 8 wrenches was like $3,000 or something crazy. Which, I'm all for premium, and everybody rags on me about premiums, and you charge overpriced. Everyone uses those terms all the time, overpriced. I'm just baffled. So I'm going to spend $12,000 just to prove everybody wrong. Then I can say whatever I want. I have it. It's crazy to me. Like, am I living? Am I seeing? I must be blind or something. I'm seeing something completely different. You literally open the drawer and it goes like this. He's like, well, you just got to load it up with the weight, and I'm like, what? How much weight? 1 billion pounds? Because that isn't going to fix it. Now it's just going to be heavier and it's going to wonk crazy. I just don't understand. I don't understand.
It's a nice wheels. I like this.
But I'm going to get one, and then maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I need to live with it for a little while, and like just really, understand it. But like the people that like they're leveraging their future on this, like $50,000 array of cabinets. You see them all over the place, and these guys are just making payments forever, for the rest of their lives. They're just making, and it's not like they're doing it like 2% interest and they're sort of helping out the working man. I didn't know this, but I mean, it's like it's 17%, 18%, and so like then and if you qualified for something better, then chances are the guy on the truck's just going to float you. But even then, the guy on the truck's only going to float you because they base everything on week. What can you pay in a week?
It's like a used car dealership.
It's just crazy. The whole system is crazy. Like, to me, the people that should be buying the Snap-on stuff is guys like me, that have a really big business. Like if you have a really big shop or you had a really big dealership that's generating lots of return, and then you should be buying those things. But that's not who's buying this. It's like the technician. It's the guy, like, what's a master certified BMW tech make a year? 80 to 100 grand to spend $35,000 on a toolbox. I mean, I understand those tools at the trade, but you spend $35,000 on a toolbox that you could have spent like $3,000 or $4,000 and had something that was far superior. Fit, finish, drawer capacity, everything. A Lista box for a fifth the price, and a Lista is insanely expensive. Like, I've never bought a Lista box; it was too much money. Like those Lista, the Lista 56-inch cabinets that I have are like $3,800 or something like that, or $4,000, and I think that's insane. That's a crazy amount of money, because a Craftsman of that size would be like $1,800, or Husky or something like that. And so again, I would expect the Snap-on to be just precision personified, like just perfection. And even then, I'm still willing to give them the benefit of the doubt from an American manufacturing perspective, but not $18,000. That if you get a good deal, it's $12,000. It's still 4 times the price of the best, or at least twice the price of the best. I just can't imagine. So anyway, I'm going to buy one and show it to you. And I want to like it because I want to like it because I don't care about selling it or not. Whatever. If it's the best thing, I would say, hey, everybody go get a Snap-on toolbox and let's put some cool tools in it. The Snap-on tools, there's just no way they're the best. They can't be. I'm looking at them, I'm touching them, feeling them, and I've been using them for years. Everybody has them, and they're everywhere. I've never owned them, and I always thought I would, but it just baffles my brain. I just can't compute. I cannot process this methodology. It's just crazy. Like how anyone would buy any Snap-on electric over a Milwaukee or Makita is just crazy to me. The only way is if you lived in a vacuum, that's all you ever saw, and you never saw anything else. But if you're in that world, you get to see all kinds of tools, you would think. Lots of people bring all kinds of stuff in. I can't even imagine what Matco is like. I've never been in one of those trucks before. But my gosh, people.
Let's get to some super chats here. We need this to help pay for that box. You got Carnuba. That's his or her first super chat. Thanks for that.
How many
$2.
LS400s could I buy for that toolbox? 3 or 4 of them, couldn't
At least. Yeah. With low mileage, too. Carnuba, $2 US, but no question. Oh, there it is. Sorry. He's down below. Well, this is an interesting question. I was kind of confused by this. Hey, Matt, I'm thinking of going to law school as a means to eventually running my own detailing shop. Think OG Spec Detailing Shop in Connecticut. Is the means to the end worth it, or just start now?
No.
I say, why are you going to law school?
Absolutely not. You're going to law school. Why don't you go be a lawyer and make 10 times that amount of money?
Yeah, I was confused.
What do you think a detailing shop's going to make?
You don't need the Juris Doctor.
Best ones in the country, maybe $800,000. Maybe to kill yourself. Metropolitan, Chicago Auto Pros. Detailers from Maine probably does pretty well, I would assume. There's lots of shops in the big cities, Miami, stuff like that. But you got to sell products and things like that, and not just sell product esoteric. But a good attorney would easily make, maybe not easily, but average. What's probably the average tenured attorney in a major city probably makes $1.5 million. So, yeah.
I'm not sure there, Carnegie. I'd skip law school if I was going to.
Yeah. So, you're going to open a detailing shop. What are you going to go to law school for? You're freaking, unless somebody's also paying for it and you're just having a blast. I wouldn't even want to do the work. Now, you'd have a legal leg up, and that you might understand problem solving a little better. You'd understand, maybe understand business a little bit better. But yeah, I'd skip law school unless you want to be a lawyer or like CEO of something. The detailer business owner path. I mean, there's quite a handful of them that that they make a really great living. But I mean, the average attorney is generally going to make more with a lot less headache than a really high performing detailing shop.
Another super chat, $4.99 from Rob Gerling. Sorry if it's been covered before, but what is the best way to wash garage towels like microfibers?
Like greasy, beat up. I don't know. I think you'd probably want to soak those in like a bucket or something like that and try to pre-soak them. I just throw them away. So, I usually don't wash those kind of towels because then it messes up your washer. So you either have like a dedicated washer dryer for that, or you spend a lot of time pre-soaking them, try to get them somewhat cleaned out so you can wash them in the washer dryer. But I use a lot more throwaway, like the shop towels on stuff that's getting really greasy, or like anti-seize and stuff like that on it, because washing is going to jack up your washer and dryer.
Yeah, for regular microfibers, we got rags to riches, but those other
yeah,
kinds.
I mean, you could wash it in that; it would work great. But I mean, you're going to get grease all over your washer. That's the problem.
All right, let's see here. Joseph Korger says, in a wash and talk, you mentioned you were doing the LZ remodel labor for free. Mm-hmm. Assuming you have to pay Mike's labor and your time, what's in it for you?
The thing I'm really interested in is continuing to head down the path of developing or I guess not really developing, but marketing other appliances and some other houseware stuff. And so think of it, remember when I did LZ's garage back in the day, it was like I was thinking about getting into designing garages, and I had figured out the flooring and some tools and some other things and the Sabre cabinets. And so we basically had cabinets, lights, a pressure washer, a portable pressure washer, and stuff like that. And so the concept was, I want to spend some time with my friend. It'll be fun to make some videos together. There's some collaboration overlap there, so you garner some attention and find some subscribership and things like that. And then I get to figure things out, learn things. And I'm always willing to try and look like an idiot on camera. And so there's a lot of things I'm really interested in on the house side. This helps me launch more into the destination side of things. And then there's some real annoying things. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. So I want to buy 2 SF7s Speed Queen stacker washer and dryer for my house. And so I either go on to some kind of shady online. There's like AJ Madison. There's these places in New York that kind of sell online. You know, they're just stripping all the margin out and trying to make a small percentage. But I've done that, and then it's real annoying. You're like, you don't really know if they have it in stock, and you're kind of waiting forever. And then you have to get called and scheduled for freight and all this stuff. It's just kind of weird. So I call up the local Speed Queen dealer. And I say, look, my name's Matt Moorman. I'm a local business owner. I love supporting other local businesses. I'd like to buy the Speed Queen SF7. They're like, what? What is that? I'm like, the Speed Queen SF7. It's the residential, commercial grade residential stacker washer and dryer. Oh, I don't know if we have that. Let me call you back. So then he goes. The lady goes and calls, and then and I say, okay, fine. Then I they call me back and say, okay, it's 48.89, and I'm like, I know they're like $4,200, so I'm like, oh, God dang it. So I said, look, I really don't want to negotiate here. I mean, Speed Queens have MAP and they have MSRP. And so we even do this. I'm Mr. Sell it at the sticker price, but we sell at MAP. What is the sort of the manufacturer's adjusted, the price? What do you think that? What is MAP? Manufacturer's
minimum advertised
price.
There
you go. So the minimum advertised price is not really a minimum. It's really the price. That's like for example, Dyne Audio Core, they have a MAP, but on Dyne Audio they have just an MSRP. And so the Dyne Audio Core sells at lower margin. All the studio monitor stuff sells at lower margin than the home theater type stuff does. So anyway, I feel like I'm calling this place. I don't need a hem and haw. I'm not here to negotiate. I'm like not. I know what I want, and so I was fine. I'll pay the $48.89 or whatever. I didn't even tell them about the other prices that I could just call Ferguson, which is in Ocala, so it's not even like I'm going just to some online place. I'm not trying to set up like a commercial account, which I probably should do. I just want to support the local people, and local pricing should probably be like, okay, maybe it's a couple $100 more to take for the store or something like that. And so I'm going to pay the $48.89. So it was like, $10,000. So she calls me back, for the third time and says, okay, we've reserved them. We can deliver them, which I like. They're going to deliver them. I can't really set them up yet because I have to do some stuff. So I don't even really need setup because Mike and I have to cut the wall and put another dryer vent and all that stuff in. And so, but I'm not going to deal with, I don't care, I don't really need all the parts and pieces, but that's a nice touch, right? So they deliver it, they unbox it, they take the box with them, they'll take the old stuff with them too. That's a service they provide that's worth something. They weren't even charging me for that. It was great. And so then she gives me the price. It was like $10,700 and something, and I'm like, how does that, so it's $4,800, and I just did the quick math, and it wasn't like giving me like a breakout of the thing. And so it's like, I'm like, we're like $300 and something off, even me paying like the full list price, and then tax, and okay, so they threw the delivery in, and so there was like another $300 or $400 on there. I'm like, well, what is that? She goes, oh, that's the credit card processing fee. Can you cut me a check? And I'm like, no. It's 2023. I said, you know what? Let me just think about it. And so then I actually I didn't even know what the prices were at that point. I just like Googled. I'm like, okay, what are the price of these things? And Ferguson, $41.99. AJ Madison, which is the online, which I wouldn't really ask them to match that, was $43.99 or $42.99 or something like that. And so like, I can go to Ferguson, and they're 16 in stock. It shows you right on the site, and just order it. I don't have to deal with anybody. I don't talk to anybody, anything like that. And so this local place is too dumb. Like, they should have a website. Like I could just go on. I could have just gone on and bought it in the first place. Like, what are they doing all day? In between all the customers, build a website. Do some stuff. And so that's the experience. Every single GD time I try to buy a fridge, a freezer, I already know what I want. I know my address. I know my credit card number off the top of my head. And all I'm asking for, just let me buy it. They're the gatekeepers to it. Just let me buy it. I know you're not providing me any value. You don't have it on display. You don't have any information on your website about it. You provided me nothing. You haven't taken any photos. You've probably never even seen this model. But they're the gatekeeper for it because they're the local dealer. And so to answer his question about, why I want to do Adam LZ's project, I think there's like 5 million products that we can do the same thing for, that it's just freaking a horrible experience to get a hold of. So I haven't bought it. I just said, and I called Mike. I said, hey, how can we just put these things in? I'm about to buy these things right now. He's like, well, we have to rip the whole wall off and run all this and do that. I'm like, crap. All right, well, never mind. And so all they had to not do was hit me with a credit card fee, and I would have just paid it. And felt better about helping out, a local place, and then I don't have to think about it. And if there was a warranty thing, then they would be able to help me out with it. That would be a nightmare too. And so I probably wouldn't even do the stupid warranty. I'd stick it out on the curb and get a new one. Because Speed Queens, unless there's like something like in the first couple days or weeks or something like that, if 3 years from now something breaks and has a 5-year warranty, I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to buy a new one, and I'll give the broken one to somebody and say, hey, you try to fix this thing. So that is what it's like when you try to buy a Wolf range, you try to buy a Folger Milano or Sub-Zero fridge. You remember the guys I was trying to buy for the freaking kitchen here, Miele, and this is like the highest end place, and I get bounced from salesman to salesman to salesman. They're so busy that they can't even, it's just so frustrating to deal with these people. When all you have to just take care of me. I don't need any information. Just take my money and just do it. Get it done. That's all I'm asking for. And so that's what we're going to build. And so when I put the Folger Milano combination 36-inch fridge freezer, and if I like it, and I put it in my house too, and we sell, doing a couple other projects, I take good photos, write a description, take some videos of it. Then we can provide people some value, and then you don't need me. I don't need Ken and Carrie's to do any kind of work. I just need them to get it to me. And so if we can drop ship it to you, and that's what all these companies are doing anyway. So they're literally going to drop ship it from the local distribution facility, and it's going to show up with a truck, at my house. And those two guys are, subcontracted. They're going to come bring it in. And so we can do the same thing all over the country and not have to deal with all this nonsense. Just give me a fair price, map price. Don't nickel and dime me, and keep it simple.
So there you go. That's
why I'm doing it.
Couple quick things here since we're a little late today. Quick hitter. Which subwoofer do you recommend for the AM5s?
SB2000 SVS.
Jeffrey McNall Jr. says he's blown away by the Power Node and the P5s. Thanks again for that open box discount.
I'm telling you, people. It's freaking good.
Oh. Jerry V wants to know, what are the dress shoes you would recommend for someone that's active on their feet throughout the day?
Alan Edmonds.
Warren Barnhart IV, our buddy up in Helen. Hope all is well. First round of apps at Mully's are on me. Just checking in, but something that needs more credit when it comes to washing is your drying aid. By far the best drying aid on the market.
It is currently, yep.
The apps, is that what you got? The shrimp? Was it the?
I just get them all. Coconut shrimp, crab cakes, the fried cheese curds. What else do they have? I forget. It's like pot stickers, I think, or something like that. It's delicious southern deliciousness. Molly's something or other grill in a Coochie Grill in Helen, Georgia.
All right.
Only open Wednesday to Saturday. It's the weirdest hours ever.
Huh. Nice. Kooky Integra Super Chat $10 US. But then he retracted his message. Oh, here you go. Would you buy the new Acura Integra Type S? And what's one thing you miss about your RSX Type S?
No, I mean I'm too far gone for those. Plus the Honda stuff is kind of weird looking. It's like too much for me. I know a lot of the Honda guys, like my Honda buddies, Billy and John from LHT, and I see lots of guys that are, old school Honda bros that stuck with it. I kind of left it behind, and it's kind of hard to go back.
Jorge Guzman says, Matt, you've had both, and I trust your judgment. I'm 22, about to buy my first daily car. If you could have only one, Gen 1 Raptor or base Model 3?
Oh, Gen 1 Raptor in that choice, yeah. The Model 3 to me is only like your 7th car.
We got a intruder. I think it's David Plott.
7 cars, then you get the Model 3. Otherwise, it's just too refrigerator. It's too. How do I say this politely? It's too I don't know how to say it politely.
It's just another appliance. That's what you call it. And you said it was an appliance.
Yeah, it's worse than that, though. I mean, it's a great car. I loved having it as my 7th. It was literally my 7th car. Like I had 6 other cars to choose from, and then you'll probably end up grabbing the phone or the proverbial keys for that more often, just because it's comfortable and practical and all of that. But if you're stuck with that, that'd be hard to deal with. I know many of you watching probably have just that, but I just couldn't imagine that. I mean, but you're gonna struggle with that Gen 1 Raptor. You're gonna be 6 miles a gallon driving around everywhere. But a much better experience overall, I think. Much more practical than a Model 3.
Dylan Chitwood, $5 US. I'm a little late to the party. Maybe this has been mentioned. Is the Hex member store still becoming a thing?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Me either.
Actually. It is. So. That's the whole website.
All right. Cars with JR.
I think maybe he's talking about like exclusive products and things like that.
Sort of thing?
Yeah. So there'll be certain shirts and hats and stuff like that in there. Yep.
Cars with JR. What's the best Chick-fil-A sauce?
I don't really like sauces. Branch.
Ugh. It depends on what you're eating, JR. That's the answer.
Yeah, ranch. The Chick-fil-A sauce is kind of good. Polynesian's gross.
No,
that's gross.
In the right setting, it's good.
What are the other ones?
Barbecue, honey mustard.
Yeah, barbecue's okay. I'm not really a honey mustard. That's for ladies.
On the fries, the honey mustard is the go-to.
Nah, that's a ladies move.
No way.
Ladies like the honey mustard.
Barbecue is for the nuggets.
Yeah,
Polynesian is for the sandwich with some mayonnaise.
Ugh.
There you go. Rephrased. What's your favorite Speed Queens as of now?
Well, I mean, the one to get is the TC5 DC5. It's the ugly, old school, use lots of water. I'm doing the front loaders just because I don't have the room, and I found that the commercial front loaders are way different than an HE front loader. Still uses 22 gallons of water. The ones that I have now, the TC5 DC5, I have the old version of those. I think mine was, I don't remember what the version is, but you don't want the TR5, TR7 if you have the choice. You want the TC, which is the old school tub, the old school version. The agitation thing uses a little bit more water and is a little more efficient. But it's freaking ugly. It's crap. They look like old school junk, but they're the best.
All right, let's see. Southern Motoring Solutions says, being in the trade, seeing lower brand boxes, they're dead in 3 years versus a 30-year-old Snap-on. Tech life is hard on them. Then he also says Matco is going to Waffle House, which shame on you. That's a compliment, Southern.
Yeah, but nice. You have 30 years of a goofy-looking tool. Like the goofy handles. I get it. I understand that. I understand that, and then there's that type of Snap-on diehard is very bias heavy. They can think of like anecdotes of it's called cognitive dissonance, where you tend to attach self-worth and attack around a certain bias. And having that bias is strong in that sort of demographic. But I think you're wrong. I mean, I don't know because I'm not, but I just put my hands on it as a professional purchaser of things, and I have no interest. I want it. I want the interest. I'll sell it all. Forget me selling anything. If it was like the thing to have. And if we didn't have that instance in 2000, like if I had never been in a truck, like I'd never gone down that path, I probably wouldn't even have a garage design business because I was just like, well, I can't sell Snap-on, so I'm just, or I'd figure out a way to have my own Snap-on truck. I'd hire somebody, and then that way we could provide Snap-on in our designs or figure out something. They probably wouldn't let me do that, but I would probably have a completely different life trajectory. I'm telling you, I'd have a different life trajectory if you guys were right. There's just something about it. I get a pair of Snap-on pliers in my hands, and I'm like, this can't be the best. I don't have an interest in this. It's cheap looking. It's ugly looking. It's not fit and finished well. But yet you get me in front of a group of Wera screwdrivers. I'm going, oh, these are freaking fantastic. I got to have this. I got to figure out a way to get this. In fact, I don't know how I haven't bought it yet. Even the Sonic stuff, same thing. And I knew, grab a Sonic ratchet. I'm like, I like this. I think there's probably better than this, but I like this. I get a Snap-on. I was just holding the 80 tooth. I'm like, I can see why they would, some would think this is superior. But then the handle is like, it's like this real thin neck, and then it's goofy, like goof mode, big honking piece of plastic on the handle. Like, this is just not. It's all shiny, so it always looks greased up and fingered up. I'm like, this is the best? There's no way. I don't even want it. If you gave it to me, I can understand the argument. You say, well, Matt, you don't understand. Like, function-wise, it's the best function. But there's just no way that goofy handle is the most functional. There's got to be a better solution. These pliers, the sockets, the storage, everything about it is just off. And it hurts my heart because I wanted it. I cannot explain to you how badly, like 10 years ago, I wanted it. I just wanted the Snap-on guy, and I would have sold my soul to be able to finance my kids' college education future, like you guys are doing. I would have sold my soul to have it, and I would have coveted it, and I probably would have been just like you and said, no, you're wrong. This is the best, period. No backing, no experience in anything else. Other than, well, John Timmer bought a Craftsman and it broke in 6 weeks. This is the same bull crap, this cognitive dissonance we see all the time with Krenza. Well, I see more posts in the group. Well, we sold 10,000 of them, and 400 of them had some issues, and 390 of those 400, somebody did something stupid. But Matt, you don't understand. Like, these are not good. Like, because I saw that John Timmer, bought a Matco, and the Matco was just not as good. I mean, his broke, and he's thinking about the one tool that broke. Well, what they left out is they had a pair of needle nose pliers, and the guy's literally standing on it, and snap the thing in half. They always leave that part out. I'm not looking for anecdotes or for like these one-off stories. I just want to go in the truck. I should be in that truck with my Amex Platinum with no limit and the ability to buy anything I want. I should get that butt-puckering moment because I spent too much money. That thing I get like once a day, it seems. Like, because I want it. And there was not one... Not one single thing in that entire truck that I wanted. And I should want it. It was my life's pursuit. What's wrong here? Something tells me something's a little off. Either I'm really stupid, which could be true. I suspect not, but could be true, that I don't know anything. Matt, you don't use your tools. You don't know any better. Ignore the fact that I was using tools all day, messing around with a GT3 RS. I don't know.
Just make sure you get the popsicle thing.
So I'm going to spend $17,000 on the world's 17th best toolbox. And I'm going to pretend that it's the best. It's...
All right, a couple more super chats to get to here. Colin Campbell, $9.99. Hey, Matt and Chris. Just want to say thanks for all you guys do. The content is great, Matt. Keep it up. We need your help in the boat detailing market. Any thoughts on getting into that market?
The likelihood of that is pretty slim. If I get like an 8-pack abs and like get super tan and my hair grows back, then maybe I'll do it.
0%. That's the answer.
Oh, okay. All right. No. I could see it happening someday if I get out Lake House, and then I'm like, well, I have a time. The problem is, would it be successful? Because I'm only like interested in it for like 6 months or something like that. Maybe I don't develop the passion around. I couldn't imagine like hovering, like hanging over the side of the boat, you'd have to get it out of the water onto a stand of some sort. I don't know how you do that. You'd have to get it out of the water, or when it's new, because even on the trailer, like you've got all the stuff to covering up the boat, so you have to figure out a way to like kind of jack it up and lean it on its side in order to really get into it. Yeah, so the likelihood of me going down that path is pretty slim.
All right, Spencer, super chat, $9.99. Little late to the party. What are the results of the Milwaukee dual battery leaf blower? Also, after 6 months of placing motor, I finally got my Sonic torque wrench and freaking love it. So, yeah, Milwaukee battery or tool. Yeah,
I talked about it earlier. It's pretty good. It has more output than any of the Egos from my subjective, like blowing some rocks around. I don't like the taking the tube off is kind of annoying. I'm not really sure how to get it off. That's not a good sign. Like, so you put the tube on. I want to be able to take the tube off because it's really long, and I want to be able to fit it in my cabinet. So that's kind of annoying. We would need a stubby for it of some sort. There are some companies that have made it. It's at first glance it's really awkward, but it's actually pretty well balanced. When I first got it, I'm like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. And then I went out and used it, I'm like this. I even walked through the arm bill. I said, this is not it. This is terrible. And then I went, you know what? Let me grab the 765, and I had them one in each hand. I'm like, oh, Milwaukee. Actually, it sounds a little nicer. Seems a little quieter. Battery life seems pretty strong with the 2 batteries. I already have the batteries, so that's a big advantage. And then it has a much nicer lock-on mechanism where you can lock it in place. I think there's too much plastic. Like, I think there's too much bulk to it. Like, if they shrunk it down, it would be way better. But we got to get the tester equipment out. But I think it has more output. So if you're a Milwaukee diehard and you don't want to, you're not balling out of control and don't want to go buy a bunch of some other battery architecture, it's pretty legit.
All right. Thank you all for the questions. We'll be back next week. We'll both be here next week, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you then.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm sorry for the snap-on. I want to be with you. I so desperately do. And you're just not right. And I'm not right either. Like this is just a material problem in the world that they've done a great job marketing and become a really great big company, but they haven't used any of that money to like make cool stuff that I want to buy, and that's not a good sign.
That's your truth. That's your truth.
Get out of here. There's only one truth, Chris. Your truth.